ladies and gentlemen, this is gonna be a big one. Yep, it's not just Sentry. We got a whole lot more to prepare for. That's Hulk. The next guy you're gonna see is Thor. And then finally, Ant-Man. So I wanted to explain to you guys where the hell these uniforms came from. They look super cool. These characters all look to be super meta. Perhaps with the exception of Ant-Man because he's only tier 3. But that is not necessarily the case. Like, he could still be meta among tier 3s. And he has a strong leadership. You can now use his leadership in pretty much all content besides, you know, Black Swan. And he does seem to be quite strong and have some absolutely gorgeous animations. Now, if you didn't see the live stream, I highly recommend you go and watch that live stream. What I'm about to say will make a lot more sense, obviously, if you've seen that live stream, because we didn't get any sneak peeks, right? Everything was brand new, surprise, first time ever. And I do also want to say at the beginning of the video, big shout out to 3RL, the announcer, and special guest, Dakota. They crushed it. They did a really, really good job. It was a super fun live stream to watch. I was a little bit disappointed to see that there was no new content, but, or at least they didn't tease any new content, but, you know, we'll have to wait and see, I guess. I don't know. That was really, you know, if I had to give the live stream a score, it would be a 9 out of 10 with the 1 mark or a 4 out of 5 stars, with the 1 star or the 1 mark deducted for not having like actual game mode improvements, you know, quote unquote content. But as far as the characters go, as far as the animations go, as far as the coupons go, as far as the hype, the interaction, and also the level of detail that we got from someone who works at Marvel Games. Anyways, I can't, you know, summarize the whole thing. Watch the live stream. It was fantastic. Big shout out to Dakota. Fantastic. So first up, I want to start off with Thor, even though Sentry's the first in the video, because Thor's is the least comics related. It's not to say that it's not comics related, but it's just not exactly comics related. Because what you'll see from the teaser here, Thor looks a little bit different. He's got blue and yellow, pretty standard blue and yellow plating here with big pauldrons. He's got Mjolnir, but it does look different, right? It's got this like insignia on it. He's got the Uru signage, the Asgardian stuff here, but then he's got red gloves, which is new. And he's got this pretty menacing sort of Norse inspired helmet. And this is, of course, this looks all brand new, right? So this looks really cool. And it's most similar to Rune King Thor. This is when Thor absorbs the power of, I believe it's when he absorbs the power of Odin, and he basically becomes the All-Father. I believe this is Rune King Thor. And I think this is one of, if not the most powerful version of Thor. I think up there or above even Herald Thor in terms of like comics accurate power. Now, obviously, because he's getting a new uniform in the game, he should be very strong. Now, Thor was out of the meta, has been out of the meta for quite some time, but he's no slouch. Like, you know, genuinely speaking, Thor is still a good character. And for what it's worth, I can't show you a clip here, but I'll just tell you that I know for a fact because I've done it. My Thor, if you go over to the team up here and we just quickly take a look at my build for Thor, it's a good build. Like, I'm ranked 300. I have nearly 16 Odin's Blessings, Mighty Rage, 4-star Artifact. But, you know, nothing too... This is great, but it's not crazy. There's no brilliant CTP, no 6-star Artifact, right? My Thor can do, with a PvP set of cards here, not a full PvE set of cards, he can do stage 60 of Gene. That's right. If I sub out Gladiator here and I throw in our boy Thor, he can do this stage. This is not a joke stage. 60 Gene is difficult. So he's already pretty strong, and they're giving him another uniform. Like, I'm really excited. You guys know how much I love Thor. I'm very excited for this one, and he should absolutely clap cheeks. He should be ripping and running. Now, as you can see here, the one from the comics, right, is not exactly what we're getting. It's very similar. It certainly has a lot of inspiration, but this one, you know, is a bit more focused on blue and white, whereas this one is a bit more balanced. It does have the red gloves, it does have the red cape, and it does have some of the yellow accents, but it's much more balanced between yellow and blue, or gold and blue rather, versus being, you know, solely blue almost throughout. And you can see his hammer here doesn't really have anything on it, whereas it has quite a bit of additional, you know, symbolism there. So that's the rune. That's Rune King Thor. That's the first one. Then we see Sentry. So this Sentry is really cool. This is Sentry merged with Void. So Dakota does a really good job explaining it in the live stream. Essentially, Sentry has a conversation somehow. He reaches out and he talks to the Void, and they basically come to an agreement. And he basically is souped up. And so he's not out of control the way that he is when he's Void, but he also has Void's power, which is crazy, right? He doesn't turn into that tentacle thing 24/7, but he has that. He can tap into that power. So this is a very, very strong version of Sentry. Like not this, right? So basically, it's a split between the OG Sentry and Void, and it's called merged Sentry, or like this new all-powerful Sentry. So this is the juiced version, and this is straight from the comics, and this is what we're getting. And what's really cool is there's still a lot of homage to the comics, because as you'll see here, he does his 5th skill, he does turn into Void. So you see Void come out, and you get this really nice camera angle going on, and that's exactly what this is, right? That's exactly what this one was right here, this cat right here. So yeah, very, very cool stuff. Really, really dig it. I think they did Sentry really well. A lot of people, rightfully so, are speculating on what this uniform is going to cost. You can notice as well he's tier 4, so it's going to be tier 4 Sentry, the first native tier 3, tier 4. So right away, I got to tell you guys, PSA, finish the Sentry Epic Quest. Hurry, hurry. Hurry your asses up. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Because he's probably going to be insane. You know, he's probably going to be insane. He's probably going to be super meta for PvP, and who knows, he might be good for PvE as well, right? He's the first of his kind, so you got to treat that with a lot of respect. I wouldn't be surprised if he blows the doors off of everybody in the game, you know? I wouldn't be surprised, frankly. So, yeah. Keep in mind that all of the events that are still on right now are still going to be on when the update comes out. So even though I'm telling you, I'm telling you, like, you know, rush to finish the Sentry Epic Quest, don't panic about unequipping CTPs or moving Uru around or whatever. Don't panic about that. Don't have FOMO. All of that stuff is going to be live. It'll still be available when the update lands. If you take a look at a calendar, the update is going to be on the 7th and 8th of May. So it's coming in less than a week, right? 1, 2, 3, about 4 or 5 days. 4 or 5 days. So 4 or 5 days, if you take a look, if you go over to the homepage and you click here, you can see Artifact Unequip is still 11 days, right? Remember, keep in mind, the update's coming in 4 or 5 days. So let's say 5 days just to be safe. This still has 11 days. 11 days. 11 days for the 50% off ISO Unequip and ISO reroll. 50% off World Boss Unlock. 50% off CTP Unequip, right? It's still on for 11 days. So all these events are still going to be live. Don't worry about that. The uniform sale is still going to be on for another 7 days, 6, 7 days after the update comes out. So these uniforms will all be 50% off. Now, again, I don't know how much Sentry's uniform is going to be. We did the math, and Thanos' uniform is regular price $2,500, and then it gets discounted 40% or 50% depending on when you buy it. It's possible that Sentry's uniform could cost $2,500 as well, like before the discount, right? Like the base cost. But it's possible that it could be more than Thanos because he's native tier 3 instead of native tier 2. This is the first time we're ever seeing a native tier 3 character get a uniform. This is an update of firsts. First native tier 3, tier 4. First native tier 3 with a uniform. So it'll be very interesting to see. The uniform might cost 3,000 crystals before a discount. It might cost 4,000 crystals before a discount. So I would suspect it's going to be anywhere from, 1,500 to 1,500 to 2,000 crystals discounted. Let me repeat that again. I think Sentry's uniform, when it's discounted by 50%, it's going to cost somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 crystals. I know that's a lot for one uniform. Again, you'll have at least a few days until the 50% discount runs out. And they'll probably extend it for those uniforms specifically. But I'll have content on this immediately so that you guys can make a good decision, right? But yeah, this is where we get merged Sentry from. And then we see right at the end we see this guy here, and this guy looks like Dr. Fate. He looks really cool, honestly, and he has really cool animations in game from what we saw. Now this is Anti-Man after he is given he's given new powers by Galactus, and so he becomes a, I think it's like the Life Galactus, because there's like a Death Galactus and a Life Galactus. I think it's the Life Galactus. I haven't read this comic run, to be honest with you. But anyways, I think it's the Life Galactus that gives him power, but it might be the regular one. In any event, he becomes a Herald of Galactus, and he's really cool. He looks gorgeous, man. He looks so dope. He looks like, you know, Power Rangers villain. He just looks really dope. And so, yeah, that's who we're getting. It's pretty straightforward. This is right out of the comics. No real connection, right? Not really a connection to Rune King Thor and Sentry, you know, specifically. I mean, broadly speaking, these characters have interacted with each other, but that's kind of the extent. There's no one comic run where even two of these characters interact at these specific levels. I don't think. Like, I don't think in the comics when Thor was Rune King Thor did he ever tangle with Galactus Anti-Man or sorry, Herald Anti-Man or merged Sentry. I don't think so, and vice versa, right? And then finally, this is the one that has everybody, myself included, super shocked. This right here, this abomination, this freak show. You're right. You guessed it. If you heard that roar and you're like, huh, that sounds like Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk. Well, it is. This is a very recent solo run of the Hulk where he basically I think again, he goes inside his mind, or he does some sort of meditation, and he finds like a deeper level of rage. He's like, you know what? I'm addicted to Rageahol. I'm a Rageaholic. Let's see how far we can take this. I'm going to just inject the rage straight into my veins. And he basically just turns himself into like this new deadliest version of the Hulk where he is a Titan. And he's literally referred to as Titan Hulk. It's a real thing. It's in the comics. It's pretty cool. It's pretty weird. And he's super powerful. He's like supremely powerful. And that's what we're getting. And he looks insane. And he has an infinite skill where he shoots a beam of, I think, gamma or energy out of his mouth. And you can just infinitely laser beam mouth other enemies or players. It's hilarious. And he has this really cool skill where he becomes all electrocuted. It's very similar to this one here, where all this electricity swirls around him and shoots out of his shoulders and his pauldrons and stuff. Yeah, this is just like so cool. Like he's a conduit for all of this rage, lightning, and then it starts blasting around. You know, it's so cool. It's so fucking cool. So yeah, pretty crazy stuff. I wanted to make the video to recap this. I wanted to make the video to, you know, give you guys the heads up that you should be seriously considering working on, if not finishing, the Sentry Epic Quest, and then maybe wait if you haven't tier 4'd Hulk and Thor, and you haven't used up all of your discounts. They might be really good targets because, you know, maybe lost in the shuffle of this update where people are like, oh my god, Sentry's so expensive. Oh my god. 2 free-to-play characters, and 2 of the most beloved free-to-play characters at that, are getting brand new uniforms. Thor and Hulk. So that's amazing. That's awesome. You know, yeah, that is really, really nice. And it's possible, you know, it's possible that Thor replaces Gladiator or competes with Gladiator. And keep in mind, before Gladiator, who was the highest competitor for Alien Male Hero? Another native tier 2. So to see potentially Thor coming back to deal with his father and Gladiator, at least compete with them, is amazing, right? That's amazing if it's possible, because that represents a ton of value saved for low-spending players who can't afford Odin, can't afford Gladiator, right? And then Hulk, well, all Hulk has to do is compete with Jean and Adam and Wolverine and Silver Surfer and Thanos and now Sentry in PvP. So yeah, also consider, I would say, also consider saving your artifact selectors. Now, this is specifically for the bingo people, but just an FYI, right? Remember, the artifact selectors will not update. So they're not going to update to include Sentry and Anti-Man's artifacts. But they do still include, of course, Thor's, I was going to say Wolverine. They do still include, of course, Hulk's artifact, which gives him additional HP. And, of course, Thor's artifact, which gives him lightning damage converted from lightning resist. So, these could potentially be... I have no idea where this is. But these could potentially be options for you if you really love these characters and you have these selectors, right? I'm not saying they're the best options, but I'm just saying that they are now options, right? Because we were assuming everybody was like new characters, whatever, new characters that haven't had upgrades, so brand new artifacts, right? So we thought like none of this stuff was going to apply to them. Turns out some of it does. So yeah, those are my thoughts and those are my tips for you to plan ahead for this update. Start saving your gold for what it's worth. Start saving your CCF. And let's see what's shaking and baking, baby. It's going to be awesome. Patch notes should be landing in a few days. In the meantime, I'll have tons more content for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for being on the live stream. It was a blast. Much love. Smash the like button if you enjoyed the content. And I will see you in the next one. Take care.